The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Wednesday week podcast. It's me again, Simon, hosting the show because he's in America, I think. We got a message from him this morning. It was 4 a.m. in the morning and he was 28 bottles deep. And we're hoping to attach that recording to the end of this podcast if we can, because it is prime time drunken fudge. Anyway, I've got with me Steve, I've got John, and I've got Hollie, which is brilliant because we haven't seen her for absolutely ages. So, hi guys, how you doing? All good?
Not
Don't
too
all
bad.
answer at
Thanks,
once.
mate.
Right, okay. Well, without further ado, I think we ought to talk about Pompey, Portsmouth. 1-0 win on Saturday. There was a couple of us here. I'm going to go to the two guys that weren't there first because they probably actually saw more of the game than myself and Hollie did, because I was really drunk and I think Hollie was a little bit tipsy as well. So, Steve, straight into the game. What do you think?
Yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? Do you know what? It's every week we do these pods at the minute, and I find it very, very difficult to. And this isn't a negative. I find it very difficult to come up with like any sort of in-depth analysis because it all seems very much. It's the same, and the same thing that I said about Charlton, I could say about Portsmouth, and the same thing that we say about all the 1-0s, we could say about the performance because we come in. We're business-like. We are the George Graham Arsenal era of football at the minute. We get in, we do what we need to do, we shut up shop, and we take on 3 points. And that's exactly what we did on Saturday. Even after Iorfa, just an overview, even after Iorfa got sent off, I never had any sort of doubt that we were going to concede. I think Darren Moore has done an excellent job in getting us set up. As we are at the moment, we're tight as we're compact, we're difficult to break down, we're difficult to get through. I'm sure as the chat goes, we'll talk a little bit about game management, which is different to cheating, and it's different to time wasting. It's game management, and everybody does it, and we just become past masters at it. And I think that's what we did really, really well. And the kind of housery that teams at the top of the league go through, or sort of put out there to be the top of the league and to be the best team involved in that sort of promotion conversation is exactly what we're doing at the minute. And I think there's one or two people that have got the experience now of being up there, and I'm looking at people like David Stockdale and thinking about those people that have been there and done it. That's where we are. It was a workmanlike performance. I never had once the goal went in, I never had any sort of doubt that we weren't going to kick on and do what we needed to do to take 3 points home. And it came to fruition, didn't it? It was what it was.
John, so I went into the game thinking, not sure about this. Steve's obviously come across there as very positive. What were your thoughts before going into the game in regards to, because we every time we do this podcast, we sort of find the negatives because we think we're going to Wednesday it up. But are we just doing that because we've had it in the back of our mind that we might, or should we go into these games positive now?
We should really. I mean, 22 games unbeaten, 20 odd clean sheets, top of the league. We shouldn't fear going anywhere, should we? Really? The games are counting down now. I think there's about 12 or so games left, or whatever there is, and we should be full of confidence wherever we go. But we're emotionally scarred, aren't we, as Wednesday fans? Because we just know that we're waiting for something to go wrong, and time's running out for something to go wrong. Fingers crossed. And but we're there to be shot at as well. At the same time, being top of the league, we're a target for teams. They want to beat Wednesday. Big following, biggest club in the division, top of the league. So they're going to want to beat us. So there's always that element of they're going to raise the game when we rock into town. or similarly when teams come to Hillsborough. So Portsmouth being, you know, not, I think they've got a pretty decent record at home as well. So nobody was going to be too bothered if we only managed to draw there, because it kept the unbeaten run going. It was a useful point from home. They tell you to win your home games, keeps the 2 points per game average going if you win your next home game. So yeah, we should be absolutely full of confidence. But yeah, I think there's always that niggle in the back of your mind that something might go wrong, and is the ref gonna, you know, and we can come on to that later as well, is the ref gonna try and do his best to spoil the game and give them the advantage. But yeah, I mean, while watching the game, I'm normally a bag of nerves watching Wednesday on TV, especially on TV, because I watch it on iFollow. I'm normally a bag of nerves, get churning in the stomach, watch the clock, you know, a minute seems to last like 10, you know, but I don't get it as much now, especially this last half season under Darren Moore. I don't have that anxiety and nervousness like I used to. It just seems like we are just in control, and the players, they probably don't feel a thing about being a goal down. They don't feel a thing about a poor first half showing. They'll come out second half and they'll do the business. Moore gets them tactically right. He'll make changes. They're playing for him. He's getting a tune out of everybody, isn't it? And you just don't have that. I just don't have that feeling like I've done in past seasons that, oh, you know, we're going to throw it away at the end. We're going to concede in injury time. As Steve mentioned earlier, the game management's on point, and you know, so I think, you know, we should be, as a fan base, a lot more confident about games. Whoever we play, even Barnsley were absolutely on fire coming up as well. I mean, the way they're going and the way people are talking about them, you'd think that we were chasing them and not the other way around. So, you know, but yeah, I think to sum it up, I think we're going to start trying to be a bit more confident about things. Wednesday fans should be a bit more confident about things. You know, the finish line's in sight. We've just got to keep on rocking.
No, I absolutely. I agree entirely. But I still have that niggling doubt. I've still got that niggling doubt, and before each game, I seem to find more reasons why we're going to lose it than we're actually how we're going to win the game. Hollie, so you missed the goal like I did, didn't you, from our conversations?
I did, yeah. I thought,
why?
Wall, I've got plenty of time, and then I tried to take my jacket off because I was feeling the warmth of those peanut shots that we had. I thought, I don't need this anymore. Get my Wednesday shirt out, and then a struggle ensued. And then by the time I got my jacket off at top of my head, we'd scored. So
it was really bizarre, because I think the ball had got. We were giving the Portsmouth fans some stick in the corner. I don't know what happened, but I think it might have been the Towelgate issue, which we'll lead into in a bit. But and then the next minute, it all became the term that they term now as limbs, and we were like, why are we celebrating?
I thought everyone was just really happy I got my jacket off, but obviously not.
So I've read about this Towelgate. I've read about. I couldn't quite get my head around it, because obviously it would appear that their manager has gone round and taken all the towels away, so Will Volts can't drive the ball. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, I think so. They did it at Charlton, didn't we? Was it Charlton the week before? And he started using the towel, and there's been a shift in using the long throw as a tactic. I'm assuming that would coincide with Aidan Flynn coming in and doing getting up there for all the long throws and offering that little bit more of an attacking option from a set piece point of view. The towels were strategically placed, shall we say. And at the time, like John, obviously I wasn't there. You're watching it and you see the ref come over, and nobody knew why he'd come over. So the commentators were asking and sort of speculating as to the reasons why the game had stopped. And he had a lengthy chat with the Portsmouth, it's Massinio, isn't it? Had a lengthy chat with him. But nobody could actually understand what had happened at the time. But it only came out after that. Obviously, he wasn't happy with the drying of the ball. I don't know what the rule is around that. I'd seen something in the past, I might be wrong, that said that if one team uses it, the other team can, and it's at the home team's discretion. I might be wrong on that one, but there was definitely a tactic that we were going to drive the ball for Volks to get a better grip, better purchase on launching the ball in, which he did well anyway, to be fair. But that seemed to be the issue that carried through. So I don't think, having said it, it was Tailgate and it did disrupt, and it's made a nice sort of soundbite, hasn't it, afterwards. It's one of those things that another opposition manager can get after Sheffield Wednesday and start moaning about the things that we're doing wrong and the issues that we're causing and blah, blah, blah. Although we're talking about it, it was a bit of a non-story because it didn't impact on the game that much, did it really?
No,
But
no.
it was a point that they sort of looked at and came out and said it was one of those things that we did to cheat, which we didn't.
Yeah. And that leads nicely into the sort of after the match, the press and the fans, their fans on Twitter, and the manager as well, sort of came across that it was a sort of bad-tempered game. I'll go to you, Hollie, because it's very difficult. Obviously, you guys were Jon and Steve were watching it, and I follow it, and myself and Hollie were there amongst others. They didn't come across to me while amongst everybody, because it all sent to me as being very well natured in the away end. We were just having a bit of a party, weren't we?
Yeah, but is that easy for us to say because we were winning?
Well, that, and we were also quite warm on alcohol. Was the fact that we were sort of the bad nature, the bad temper, the time wasting, the shithousery we call it now. To me, didn't come across. What was your thoughts, Hollie? Did you see that, or did you see that? Did you feel the bad temperedness?
No, I was just having a great time. But what I will say is that normally stuff like that, like him taking his towels off of us, and the Peterborough game last week, we would have gone to bits after that last season, even, especially the season before. We would have absolutely gone to bits and lost as heads. And I don't know if it was Will Volks that came out and said he's one of the ones that's chilled in these situations. So luckily, I suppose it were him that they were impeding by taking towels off of him, and he just didn't affect us whatsoever. But I didn't get in those vibes. I were giving off good vibes all day.
I think it was more their backroom staff and their manager that were quite animated about things, weren't they? They were upset about one or two things, not just Towelgate, just like little things like thinking that our players are faking injury and time wasting, like Steve said earlier when it started, which is game management. And I think it just comes with a territory when you're top of the league. They want to find some way of saying you don't deserve to be there. You get up rubber the green. You get in this. You get in that. Same comes from the fans. You know, you got Ipswich fans saying all we do is win 1-0 and sit on leads. Like, so what? You know, it was top of the league. Well, if we can do that till end of season, we'll do it, and we'll see you later in the rearview mirror. Bye bye. We'll be up. So you know what I mean. So
do you know what? I don't
there to be shot.
I don't think we do sit on leads. I think, to be fair, to give Portsmouth their due, they if you look at the possession stats, they had like 63% of possession. They had more shots, they had more corners, they were more of a threat on paper. But I think I mentioned it in our chat, or I mentioned it on socials, that there's an art to playing football, and it's not just what you do with the ball. It's how you set up when you're not in possession of the ball. We did it against Newcastle. I think they had more. Newcastle had more of the ball in the FA Cup as well, didn't they? More than Portsmouth did. But we defended better than they attacked. That doesn't mean that we set in and we decided we were going to sit on a 1-0. We kept pushing, we kept going forwards. The two Windass headers in the second half were indicative that we were going to keep pushing and trying to get something out of the game or get another goal within the game. I do worry, if I was to be critical, I do worry a little bit at the moment that for all the positivity and all the clean sheets and so forth, we are only winning games 1-0, and I think that I'd like to see us put a bit of a statement out there in the next few games, and maybe Friday and Tuesday aren't necessarily the ones where you'd expect us to go out and score 6-7 goals or whatever it may be within that sort of game. But you'd like to think that there are opposition coming up that we can go and have that sort of statement result that puts the message out to the rest of the chasing pack to say, look, whatever happens in the next two games, which I think are pivotal, our season will be determined in the next 2 games in terms of A, promotion, and B, whether or not we're actually going to win the league. And I think we can all have that conversation. I know we're not going to count our chickens before they're hatched, sort of thing. But if we come out the next 2 games with 4 to 6 points, then it's absolutely frightening how positive things are going to be around the club. But I don't think we sat in and settled on a 1-0. I think we're doing what we can. It's just unfortunate that we're not scoring more goals at the moment.
I'll settle for 2 1-0s in the next 2 games.
100%.
Normally,
100%.
normally we're 3-0 up, and I think we could do with another couple of goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what Saturday showed us as well was Darren Moore's ability to manage a game. Was the fact that he admitted that bad game and got booked, didn't he, just before half time, and it was one of those games which I think with Fratton Park, the crowd is so close to the pitch that it can really influence a referee, of which we'll talk about in a moment or so. And I think he Reece James on was the ideal situation then, because it took Jaden Brown out of the melting pot. I mean, how good, John, was it to see Reece? He's had that a bit of an injury and he's come back there. How good was that to see him come back on and then produce a football he did that nearly led to another couple of goals?
I thought Reece James was absolutely sensational. I'm so pleased we've got him back. I mean, those 2 crosses were absolutely beautiful, and they should have buried them, shouldn't they? Windass both times, really.
Yeah.
They were just great. Just have that natural left footer down that side. Just picks his lifts his head up, picks his spot, whips it in, and you couldn't ask for a better ball, really. And if those 2 go in, and then obviously we win the game at a cancer, don't we? But yeah, he's just been pivotal to our side and the way we like to set up, because he's so versatile as well, because we've seen him play as a centre half in that back 3, and we've also seen him push out wide and played a wing back role. So he's great for tactics. He's great for planning for more and what he wants to do in games. You can shift him around and stuff like that. And great to have him back. Sad to see Iofa go off on what was an absolutely diabolical decision, by the way, because he was just starting to pick up some form as well.
I was going to lead into that. Because we've been at the sharp end of some really poor refereeing and poor officiating, not just by referees but by the EFL over the last couple of months, with the video evidence from somebody's mobile phone, which resulted in 3-match ban for Johnson, and then obviously the elbow in the face against Peterborough on Barry Bannon, which nothing seems to have happened from there, because Bannon stood up to him and then their defender fell over. To that sending off of Iofa on Saturday. I mean, we were a bit away from it, weren't we, Hollie, in regards to where it was on the pitch? It was at the side of the pitch, and I don't actually remember his first yellow. But what was your interpretation of it from where you were? And then we'll go into Steve in what regards to what he saw on the screen. What did you think?
Well, sometimes he is a little bit like Bambi on ice anyway, so I thought he'd just got spaghetti legs on himself and then got booked for it. And then I had a bit of a Chris Kamara moment because I missed the first card. So I saw him go off. And then I
thought they were bringing a sub on.
I was like, no, he's just walked off. Where's he off? And then
I didn't see the first. I didn't see the first one either. So I think that was a soft one. It was bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, Steve, you must have seen it on iFollow. I mean, what was your interpretation of it, seeing it there on the screen live?
First one was obviously the first one was a time wasting. Nobody went to take the throwing, and it just seemed to be that he was the closest person to the ball, so they give him a yellow card. Which, nobody went to pick the ball up. Nobody was designated to take the throwing from what I saw, from what my understanding. But as I said, you're pissing me off. You can have a yellow card sort of thing. Second half, in real time, it looked worse than it did on the replays. If I'm honest with you, it seemed to me like there was. I think I called it on the chat incidental contact. There was contact, but it was just a coming together of two players who've gone like that. And in real time, it was a situation where you go, oh. And I looked at it. I was watching with my little one, and I kind of glanced and thought, yeah, he's got him banged to rights there. That is a yellow card. But if you look at it again, it's barely a foul. I'm a booking. So yes, there is contact. It isn't initiated by Orfer. I don't think necessarily. And I'm not a fan of that guy. That Ogilvy, he irritated me on the last game of the season. He irritated me on the first game of the season. He's a shithouser himself, to be honest with you. He chucks himself about. I think he scored either on the first game. Yeah, it must have been the first game of the season. I think he scored. He's just a pain in the arse, and he threw himself about. Arms went up in the air. He gave the referee a decision to make that wasn't necessarily something that he had to do, to be honest with you.
I do think, and this is going to sound really, really harsh, so don't tell Dom, but out of all of the defenders, if we're going to lose one of them for a match, I prefer it to be Dom than the others. And
well, that's because Liam Palmer can go and play right.
Oh, well segued in there.
This podcast is brought to you by the Liam Palmer Appreciation Society.
Well, we'll obviously talk about that for the next game in regards to covering for Dom. But then, John, about 5 minutes after that, there was a tackle on Fizz, which, even from where we were, and even from the fact I've been drinking since 10, was a straight red card. 2-footer challenge, off the floor, uncontrolled, from behind, boom, wiped him out. But it was a yellow.
Sean Raggett, yeah.
Madness, yeah?
Absolute madness. And this is what drives fans crazy. I mean, the referee sends Iorfa off for what looked like an innocuous challenge. You know, like Hollie said, he's got long legs. His trailing legs being out there, and he's caught a guy unintentionally, gives him a second yellow, sends him off. Sean Raggett went through back a FDB, almost 2-footed. It's a red in any day of the week and twice on Sundays, and it just gives him a yellow card. Just absolutely baffling, isn't it? You know, and this is what I said like earlier. It's always like, this is why fans think sometimes it's a conspiracy theory about EFL and Sheffield Wednesday and the officiating and how they try and level games up and try and give the advantage to other teams, and they don't do themselves any favours when you see stuff like that. And you know, and others are saying that these things even out, but it doesn't always seem to be that way when it comes to us. We always seem to get the shit end of the stick when it comes to the decisions. Fortunately, it didn't cost us, and I think that's testament to how we game manage and how great our defence is this season. That there's not a mad panic that, you know, we can't still get a result even down to 10 men. But yeah, Raggett should definitely have gone. He should have, and you could see the players were up in arms surrounding the referee. Even Raggett looked like he knew he thought he was going to go. You could tell by his body language he thought he was going to go. His head was down. He looked, you know, quite sheepish about it all. And no, gets a yellow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was madness, and because it's a yellow, we can't appeal it because he's taken a punishment.
Oh, we can if we write a letter.
I don't think we can even if we write a strongly worded letter, we can't actually get it appealed, unfortunately. So we've
just one last point, if I can. I think the thing with that is it's really, we do a lot of work and we have lots of conversations around VAR and the way that the game is changing, and you know the changes to the way that things are being reviewed and so forth. I can't say that I'm not bothered because it was a red card. I think it was a red card. I think the thing that gets my goat is that Reece James got sent off for less earlier in the season.
Oh, yeah,
and I think if Reece James didn't get sent off at Peterborough, we'd be sitting here now another 3 points further up the league than we are at the moment. But that's the story for another time. The thing that bothers me is it's a very easy and quick fix because we talk to the manager, we talk to the players, we'll talk to the coach, we'll talk to the physio, we'll talk to other journalists, we'll talk to everybody else. all it takes is for this guy to come out and say, right, this is the decision that I made today, and this is the reason why. I mean, there's an absolute disconnect between officiating and us as a fan base and as supporters. VAR is our sort of version of, the other sort of artificial officiating, or whatever term you want to use, that they use in cricket, or they use in rugby, they use in other sports. Refs are mic'd up. We can't do it in football because football is an industrial game and kids don't want to hear the language that's being used, and so on and so forth. It's also a very expensive in terms of or lucrative game, and it's very difficult to sort of put people on the spot in the way that they are. But there was nothing wrong with that referee coming out immediately afterwards, or there's nothing wrong with him having a conversation with a fourth official, which could then be communicated so that people know why this has happened. And I'm not just talking about that as a one-off incident. I think it's a wider issue that we've got to look within the game. It just frustrates me because it makes it causes more of a rift between us as a fan base and referees that I don't think need to exist.
No, I agree.
We need to respect referees for what they are and what they do, because it's a tough job. But when you see things like that and there's a lack of consistency, and it goes against us, and FDB was very, very lucky that he didn't have serious injury, because it was a shocking change, absolutely awful.
It was. I agree, and that's the trouble, isn't it? That there isn't anybody who can actually put this issue to. It doesn't seem to be there's any sort of body that can put this issue to referees to make them answerable to some of the decisions they make, and because of the fact we have mobile phones and video stuff and stuff like that, that we see a lot of decisions made over the weekends and during the weeks that are massively questionable, and we see them all the time now, and it drives a rift, as you say, between the fans and the referees, and it is a hard job. So, I mean, we talked about game management, and Steve quite succinctly put it as calling it games management. And Blair last week spoke about the different way that Sheffield Wednesday play. And so I think we've touched on it a lot. And my opinion is, if we're dirty and time wasting, great, because we're top of the league. Let's crack on. It's working. For how many times have we said we're too nice? And I don't think I've heard that term about our manager this season, that Darren Moore's too nice, which we heard a lot last season. He seems to be the major tactician, leading into the fact that this was Darren Moore's 50th win in charge of Sheffield Wednesday. 94 games he's managed us for, with only 19 losses. Hollie, how does that feel? That's amazing, isn't it?
I bet it's a very short list of other managers that have got to 50 wins.
It's just it's crazy, isn't it, that somebody's got that statistic really now as a manager of Wednesday? Yeah,
it is for us. Yeah, I think we only got 3 when we were in Championship, didn't we? So the rest just since then.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It takes it if you take out and we talked about it a lot over the last 2 years or so. You take out the squad that he's inherited and the situation that he was in and the illness that he had and the circumstances that he was under. A lot of those losses came in the Championship and then coming down. It actually makes you almost want to do a since asterisk with it, since squad overhaul, or since it was more squad. How impressive is that record? Because it's fantastic. Testament to him. He was under a lot of pressure at points last season. We always go back to Cambridge. We always go back to AFC Wimbledon. We'll always go back to Oxford. Those points in last season where he was feeling the pressure and people were on his back. The Moore Out Brigade. Remember then? Can we just have a short period of silence for the Moore Out Brigade? They're long in the memory now, and I'm really pleased that be the situation, because you see it regularly on social media. I asked Ash to share the racism, the red card stuff last night, because that's the profile of the man. He's played at the very top level, and it's good that we've got a manager that's in there. And although he's not young, as in chronologically, he's young as a manager, and he's got progressive ideas. I like the way that we play football. I like what he's doing around the place. I like the feel that we've got at the club. And this is, for me, as good as it's been since the Premier League era, really.
And just to say on that, sorry,
I was going to say, leading into that is the fact that we are 22 games without a defeat, John. 22 games without a defeat.
Yeah, and I was thinking at the time when that stat came out as well, and then Blair kind of tweeted it on the chat as well, that one more game unbeaten equates to obviously half a season unbeaten, which is crazy, isn't it? I mean, I've never known Wednesday have unbeaten runs last more than 5 or 6 games. I mean, there's always some banana skin, isn't there, when you think you're on a run and then we go somewhere like Fleetwood and lose, and you're like, oh, great, But this run is just incredible. And when you think some of the sides that we've had in the past, from we had a good side. Obviously, we had good sides in the 30s when we last actually won top flight division. We've had a good side in the early 60s. Obviously, we've had the golden generation of the 90s, which most of us, Hollie, might have known it from stories from a dad or whatever. Really awesome sides. We never got anywhere near that kind of an unbeaten run, and this is incredible. I mean,
Simon, talk to us about that side in the 30s.
Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, the clean sheets to go with it as well. We're breaking records everywhere. I mean,
15 clean sheets.
They're on pace for about 104 points or something like that, maybe more. I don't know. But
so statistically, in all of the divisions in our league and in the European leagues, Wednesday are the one with the longest run this season with 22 games. So then there's Celtic with 21. And then on 19, there's Reims and RB Salzburg. Then on 18, there's Feyenoord. And they're still running on their run. So they could beat it if we slip up. And then after that, it's Newcastle and Union Saint-Gilloise on 17. But that's gone now for them. So that's pretty illustrious teams that we're with, isn't it? Little old Sheffield Wednesday.
It is. Isn't it? The counterpoint to that is people will say that it's only League One, and my argument to that point is it might be only League One, but how many teams are doing it? You know what I mean? Somebody will come out and say that this team did it in 2017 or 2018 or even last season, whenever it may be, but it doesn't happen every day. Premier League teams don't do it all the time. We've seen Newcastle, 17 games. Burnley aren't up there, and they're flying. They're absolutely running away with their league. You can only beat the teams that are around you. And you go back to the point, Darren Moore is building a project here, and we are going to lose. I think we're going to lose before the end of the season, unfortunately. But what we've got to do is hold on to the fact that this run has been absolutely phenomenal. We talked about the last time that it happened. It's something that some of us, in all seriousness, may never see again in our lifetime. And that's a really stark thing to say and think when you think about it, isn't it? But we're bringing, and we talk about it, Simon. We've got kids that have not seen stuff like this in any of their memory of watching Sheffield Wednesday. Ben's on the podcast. He's never seen anything like this. We're living in a really, really positive era, and we just need to get up. Hopefully, get up.
It's 1959 was the last time we won a league. 1959. Yeah. So if you look at that, so even despite the jokes about my age, even I haven't experienced us winning a title. So for us to be able to do that, and I don't care that it's League One, and to also what I would like to do is beat the 100 points. Big style, like to beat the 100 points. It's been I mean, Wednesday last lost a game on the 4th of October 2022, which was 2 days before my birthday. So all I'm saying this was a fantastic birthday present from Sheffield Wednesday, and long may it continue. So that was Portsmouth, another 1-0. I don't really care. It was 1-0. let's just have a word from our sponsors, and then we'll head into the second half of the podcast.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Blair, I've put you on specially. I brought you onto the side to talk about men's grooming, downstairs grooming.
Well, as you know, I'm the biggest men's grooming guy in the biz today, Foot.
Well, of
Tell
course
me
you
more.
are. Of course you are. And I know that you're a big gym guy. I know you're a big runner. And have you ever been out and about and all of a sudden you've got what can be described as a small fire down there?
It's as red as a fire engine down there sometimes, Foot.
Well, I tell you what, that's a good point, because right now, the Wednesday week for the next few weeks is going to be brought to you by Manscaped. And we're giving away, we're giving away discounts on the Manscaped 4.0 bundle.
What's it include?
I've got, it's the performance package, mate. You've got the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, yeah, a Crop Reviver toner, so, you know, it brings it back if you need it. Performance boxer briefs, if performing is an issue for you, mate.
I'm fully seeded, but, you know.
Fully seeded. I enjoy that. Yeah. So, and then we've got all the bits that'll keep it off the bathroom floor. We've got, well, it's waterproof. It cuts down the issue that you might get. It helps reduce the likelihood of getting an ingrowing hair as well.
Perfect. And that's
you know
from a Gillette fan.
In it. So I thought you'd be a fan. So listen, you guys back home, you guys watching and listening right now, you can get a discount on this if you enter the code TWW20 into the checkout at the end, and you can get yourself a 20% discount. That's the Manscaped 4.0 bundle. Get on it. The Wednesday week is also brought to you by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. I bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Right, that was our sponsor, Manscaped. I hope you're all using that discount code, because if you don't, then, well, there's some hairy balls out there, isn't there? Right, okay, so going into a quiz. It's the Sheffield Wednesday quiz. Now, hopefully, it won't go down as badly as the last few, but then again, I'm running it, so it's bound to be shit. We had two, one that was emailed into us, but I've actually done my own today, because this afternoon at work, I'd just had enough. So I went on and I had a quick look at a few statistics, and I decided, right then, so let's just delve into the positives and the negatives of being a Sheffield Wednesday fan. So what I'm going to do is, I've taken from 2000, well, it's actually from 1989-90 season. So I think we're all of a vintage, apart from Hollie probably, who can remember some of these. But there's a lot of statistics here that come from very recently. So there are 5 to take from each category. I'm going to put it around the table. I'm not going to ask each person. I want us all to want all 3 of you to sort of dib in. So firstly, the biggest win since 1989 to now, what has been our biggest win, and against who?
I can't remember us scoring 7, so that means it's got to be 6-0 Leeds.
No,
Oh,
that's on
well.
there. That's on there. Now that's on there. That's number 4. Okay. In fact, it's number 5. 6-0 in the Championship, 2014 against
That was
Leeds.
a great day, though.
So it was a bloody good day. Yes.
We
So
also
that's
had
number
a 6-2
5.
at home, didn't we? Against Leeds.
We did. So that's number 5 out of 5. So can anybody think of any more? This is all competitions. All competitions.
We've had a stupid. We've had some sort of pizza cups. Have we done a pizza cup where we've scored 7?
There were a Bristol Rovers game, I think. That's what.
Oh, is it differences or goals scored?
Maximum goals scored. So obviously the 6-2 against Leeds, we're only 4 up, weren't we?
Burnley, 7-2.
No, there's better ones than that. There's better ones than that.
More than 6.
Was it? What did we
So
beat
there's one
Sport
in living
Luxembourg by?
memory. Sorry,
What
go on, say again.
That's 7-1.
What's that?
What didn't
Which
we beat
one, John?
Sport Luxembourg by 7-1 or something?
So
Sport
right, so number
Luxembourg.
two.
This is going well.
Yeah, it is. Number two. Oh, it's good. Number 2 is first round, first leg, UEFA Cup, Sport Luxembourg, where we beat them 8-1. 8-1, and that was
8-1.
in September 1992. There's one on here that wasn't actually that long ago. It was March 22 in League One, and we beat. It's another 6-0.
Cambridge.
Cambridge is number 4. Okay, right. This is one for you. 1992, third round of the League Cup at home. We beat somebody 7-1.
Bart Williams. I think Bart Williams scored.
They actually won the Premiership a few years ago.
Leicester.
What, Leicester?
Leicester City. We beat them 7-1 in the third round of the League Cup in 92. So number 1. Now, Steve and John, I don't remember this. Okay. 1989, 89-90 season it was. Second round of the League Cup.
No.
It was 8-0 to Wednesday. We were away.
Away?
Any idea?
Wow.
Away. 8-0.
League Cup. Gosh.
No.
Older shot.
Oh,
So
okay.
89, 8-0. So our biggest win since 89-90 was an 8-0 against Aldershot. Right then, biggest defeats. Defeats.
7-2 at Blackburn.
Newcastle.
8-0
Right.
Newcastle.
So the word 1999. 8-0. Away. 7-0. Right. So League Cup 2014. God, you must remember this one. I was there. Away. We lost 7-0.
Man United, wasn't it?
Man City.
Man City. Yeah.
Lampard, I think. Did Lampard get a hat-trick in the second half? We were holding them to 0-0 and they just destroyed us. In the
We've had
second
some
half.
thrashings over the years, haven't we? Definitely.
We have. Right, here's one
Bringing it
for
up,
you.
yeah.
Here's one for you. It led to Trevor Francis getting the sack in 94-95 Premier League. At home, we lost 7-1.
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
I think Lars Bohinen got a hat-trick, didn't he?
And we finished seventh. Did we finish 7th in the Premiership that season?
Yeah, and we thought it was
7th in the Premiership, and Francis got.
We thought it was a disaster.
And Francis got the sack. Yeah, 7th in the league.
Imagine that, Hollie.
I only started going in 96, 97, so
well, you won't know this one then.
Like
Here's one for you. I remember watching this on TV, 91-92 season, February. First, it was the last season of the Premiership. Away, we lost 7-1.
Arsenal.
7-1. Arsenal. So, I don't think then I also sort of put it to the back of my mind. And then here's another one which I didn't know we'd lost against. I don't remember this game. Away, 2008. So in the Championship, we lost 6-0 away. Remember this one?
Blackburn again, were it?
Reading.
I do remember that league round
Doyle,
man at match.
Reading 6-0. Wow. Right, just mental. Right, just a quickie. We'll fly through these because this quiz is going down really, really not well. But it's informative anyway. Right, highest ever attendance since 1990. Middlesbrough. Who do you think was our highest attendance against? It was 40,327 at Hillsborough.
What's the date?
91-90. It was March 1992. and unfortunately lost.
Oh, Liverpool.
Nope.
I'll go Man United.
No. So it was 91-92, the last season again of the First Division. We lost 3-1.
3-1. We're United.
It was Sheffield United. 3-1 at home. Yeah,
they did the double, didn't they, that year? Yeah.
They did the double, and I think we missed out on winning by 6 points, didn't we not? And Leeds won it instead.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
They went and got
Anyway.
T-shirts printed, didn't they, if you remember?
Yeah.
Right,
February the 2nd. February the 2000. So that would have been our last season in the Premiership, wouldn't it? 39,640 fans there. We lost 1-0. 39,640. Our last season in the Premier League. And we always used to have a decent record against these guys at home. But that particular
were
season,
Man United, Terry Sheringham.
It was Man United. So
in that season,
it's odd
1-0 was probably a good result for us.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So November 1998. So it's the 98-99 season, Premiership again. 39,475. We won 3-1. I remember this game. Who do you think that was against?
Say the date again.
November the 21st, 1998.
98. That feels like the one where Di Canio scored to make it 3-1 against Man United.
I think Alexander's scored as well, did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Manchester United. So I'll go through the other two because, again, the following year was 39,427. It's amazing how much this ground used to hold, isn't it? Man United, we won 2-0. And then in 96-97, again, Premier League, 38,943. It was 1-1 against Liverpool. So if we go to lowest attendances,
before we move on, is this an appropriate time to mention how many fans must have been in the away end?
I couldn't possibly comment, Steve.
Anyway, move on.
Lowest attendances, of which 3 of the top 3 have all been in the last couple of years. And I'll quickly go through them. So what do you reckon our lowest attendance has been in the last 30 years at Hillsborough? What do you reckon our lowest attendance has been?
It's got to have been that cup game that it was like against Notts County or someone. It was absolutely dire.
Pizza Cup against one of the under 23,
whatever they call it these days. Yeah.
Is it Harrogate? And we had like 4,000.
To be honest, mate, you pretty much nailed it, Steve. So our worst attended game at Hillsborough was in October 2022 in the EFL Trophy. I love how they dress it up as the EFL Trophy and we just call it the Pizza Cup, which was 3,173. So 3,173 compared to 40,327. So there was probably more.
Bearing in mind, we once got 7,000 for David Hurst's reserve game on his comeback from injury.
Yeah, exactly. So that is our lowest attendance over the last 30 years. And the top 3 are EFL Trophy: Burton Albion, Hartlepool, and then we go into the League Cup, 2011 League Cup against Blackpool, 5,240. And then the League Cup against Rochdale in 2009, where there was 6,000. So out of 2 of the top 2, this is really sad for us. So the Burton Albion game, the Hartlepool, 5,000 poor Wednesday fans saw us lose 3-2 and 3-0. Oh God! Anyway, the joys of being a Wednesday night, but we're top of the league. And on Friday, we move into our next phase of, are we going to win? Are we not going to win? Yeah, we'll win. But then me and John will think of some excuse why we're not going to win. And it is Bolton at home. on Friday night. Is it 7:45 kickoff, 8 o'clock kickoff? I'm not sure. Any idea what time's kickoff is on Friday?
7:45. Every
7:45.
single evening game for the last 20 years, my dad's gone, what time's kickoff? And it's always 7:45. Every single time he asks that same question.
But aren't we kicking off at 5 to 8 at Barnsley on Tuesday night or something stupid?
That's different.
That's a Sky game, isn't it?
Yeah. So, no. Right, okay. So, Steve, Kieran Lee is coming back to his... I always think that we've got Kieran Lee just on loan. We've just lent him to somebody and he's going to come back. One day he'll just walk back out in a Wednesday shirt and go, "Told you. I just popped over there for a bit of a play." What do you reckon?
I love the bloke. He was in that sort of Carlos era, going through the Yoss stuff, before my love for Liam Palmer sort of manifested itself and set into the inappropriate levels that it is right now. My favourite player of post-Premier adulthood era has been Kieran Lee. I thought he was so underrated. Well, no, that's not fair to say. I think in the grand scheme of things, he'll go down in history as being underappreciated by us because we've had so many good players, or we perceive to be good players in that sort of position. George Byers coming in makes him a sort of a distant memory, doesn't he? Barry Bannon, being the loyal servant that he is, means that Bannon has now sort of elevated himself above. But let's be right, in my opinion, the guy was humble, he was workmanlike, he was unassuming, he wasn't flashy in any way, shape or form. He gave us some of the best memories of the last sort of the previous sort of 5-6 years. Goal against Rotherham, the goals he scored late on at Hillsborough under the lights, the way that he linked up. I think he complimented Bannon at least as well as anybody else, and I think it's a real sort of a real shame that he didn't. That he ended up getting the injuries that he did and had the timeout that he had. And I for one, was very, very sad. And I think I said to you guys at the time, I'd have kept him. I think he offered more than people that we released and people that were playing in front of him. And I think he's gone on to prove that, although he's dropped down a level, if you talk to, well, he dropped down a level to get into League Two. If you talk to Bolton supporters, now they'll talk about the impact that he's had on that club. Although it's been limited in terms of the amount of football that he can play, he's doing bits over there, isn't he? And they revere him almost as highly and regard him almost as highly as we do, and that's testament to the bloke. Having said all that, I hope he don't play on Friday.
Hollie, I agree entirely with Steve. I was gutted when he left, but I always felt it was a need because of his injury record, and he never seemed to be able to come back, and he obviously has, and that's fantastic for the lad. But Hollie, Will Volks, Barry Bannon, George Byers, would he push one of those players aside now, or would he? Would he? Nah.
Nah, it's
No.
shit now. Nah, they're the best.
Is he dead to you?
Don't quote me on that if something happened on Friday.
Touch is no longer golden.
I'd genuinely have him on the bench in front of Backinson. Sorry,
Oh,
I
yeah.
would. If we're
agree.
looking at somebody that comes on, you look at that game. All right, it was 35 minutes when Byers went off the other day. But if you're looking down the bench with 60 minutes gone, and you're looking to get somebody to shore it up and do bits and offer a little bit of energy, I've talked about what I thought of Deli Bashiru earlier on in the season. He's not kicked on in the way that I thought he would. Backinson continues to divide opinion. I think what you'll get out of somebody like Kieran Lee is 100% all the time, energy, movement. He's gonna put that shirt on, and he's gonna show you that he's gonna die for the shirt for however long that sort of period of time is. We haven't got anybody looking down the line that can offer what he does. Even now, in my opinion, he's not gonna threaten that front three, that starting three. But that's not to say he'd still have a position within the squad, dare I say it. But again, that's a controversial opinion, and people will tell me that I'm talking shit.
He played against us earlier in the season, didn't he?
That was early on, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he not an unused sub? I might be wrong.
I went to that game, and it's actually one of the best games I've seen Wednesday play this season. I thought
We
they
were
superb,
absolutely
Bolton.
awesome.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
weren't poor. They were just 2 steps behind us. They
Yeah,
just could
without
not
doubt.
get near us at all.
No,
It
and
was
I
a Liam Palmer show, weren't it?
it was, yeah, and I thought Dom had a really good game in that game as well, just coming back. Kachunga was Kachunga and just got the level of earring hatred that Ben would wish upon him.
And we had Mark
And
McGuinness.
yeah, and we had Mark McGuinness, but now we have Aidan Flint. So, John, what's your thoughts for the weekend for Friday night? What are your thoughts about Bolton? Because they're a team that pick results up, and then you think they're going to win a game, they lose. They're thereabouts. But what do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, they're a team vying for playoffs, aren't they? I mean, they lost to Ipswich, didn't they, or against Ipswich? I can't remember where it was played, but yeah, they're a team that are fighting for a playoff spot. Having said that, I'm confident against any team in the league at Hillsborough. I really am. We've shown as dominance there. We've shown that we have got a game plan for any team that comes to Hillsborough. If they want to go and play the long ball game, then we'll do that. If they want to try and go toe to toe with us, they'll get knocked out. You know, that's what's being proven when it comes to Hillsborough. We've just been ruthless, and I'm confident we'll win again. Kieran Lee, I know you both spoke about him. Great servant for us. I remember the 2 good things Dave Jones did. One was get us over the line to get us up to the championship, and the other was swap Kieran Lee from a right back to a centre midfielder, because he really took off when he did that move. So I've got really fond memories of Kieran Lee. When he scored that second against Brighton, I think that's probably the best I've felt since we were in Premiership, because it took us to the playoff final, and we all thought we were on his way, even though they were all singing it, weren't they? But you know, it wasn't to be, sadly. But yeah, Kieran Lee, wish him well, just not on Friday night. But yeah, I'm more than confident we've got enough in the tank to win that game.
So right, okay, guys. Predictions, Steve.
I think we're going to win. I think we could do with winning. As daft as it sounds, we could do with winning. If we go into Tuesday with another 3 points on the table or on the board, that bodes well for us. I'm not looking forward to I'm looking forward to Tuesday night without looking forward to it, if that makes sense. So I think it's important that we try and get a positive result. I can see us winning maybe 2-0.
Hollie, what do you reckon? 2-0, Steve. What do you reckon, Holes?
If we play like we did last time we played them, they had no plan B. I'm happy with that. I'll take a 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0. That's an easy one to go for. John?
Current form, man. Yeah, I had 2-0 in my mind when you said the question. I'm going for 2-0 as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. 2-0, 2-0, and 1-0. I'm going 2-0. I think our defence is too good at the moment. I think, and I just think we feel too good, full stop. Well, we've also got a game on Tuesday night, which I know one person here will desperately want us to win. Although we all want us to win, but one so much more is the fact that she shares a house with 2 Barnsley fans, a husband and a son. What the hell went wrong there? I'll never know, Hollie. But you know, your choice in men is probably not as good as, well, it's probably about as good as my choice in women. Anyway, so it's 2 form teams in the League One as it stands at the moment. But Barnsley keep getting all the plaudits, which I'm more than happy with. They've got the manager's won manager of the month, and then every time League One News puts anything on Twitter, they go on about Barnsley, despite the fact that we are 22 games unbeaten. I don't know a lot about Barnsley, other than the fact they seem to keep winning. They seem to be getting results out. They are the form team. They're quite saying they're the form team. They played the same number of games against as us, and I think they're 11 points behind us. So not all that much form, as I would suggest, as the statistics suggest, and people keep saying. Hollie, sorry to go drop on you here, but you probably know more about Barnsley than any of the rest of us do. How confident are they? Are they confident? What's the thoughts in your house?
They
And then
are
I'll go to
very
the two.
confident. So
Right, okay.
normally, literally every season that we're in the same league as Barnsley, I laud it around the house all season because we beat them at home and then it's a naff 1-all at Oakwell. That's what happens every single time without fail. Their record at Hillsborough is absolutely dire. So in this season, like half a season long run, obviously Barnsley wasn't one of them. So we've already messed up. So I have no idea what to think. They're very, very confident and have been going on about it since they beat us that they're going to double us. So I'm not very happy. I'm not gonna lie.
Now I must say actually that the best team I have seen at Hillsborough this season was Barnsley.
I really thought we were going to win that game because we were quite good before that. I really thought we were going to. I were telling them about how good every single. I went through the team and how good they all are. They showed me up.
What do you think, John? What do you think about this? Because it is. I would say this is the toughest game we've now got in our running.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
Barnsley are in absolutely peril. They are in top form. They are really looking. They're smashing teams. Plymouth weren't even a game when they took care of them. They're an incredible run, but so are we. You know, it's not like, you know, like we said earlier, it's like the way that they talk about Barnsley in the local media and on local radio stations. You'd think they're chasing us down and they've cut us lead down from 11 points to 6 or something, and they're on this run that we're exactly neck and neck in form table. So, you know, they've been salivating wanting to play us, like Hollie said, since they beat us at Hillsborough, which was the first time since God were young, and weren't it really? So they're desperate to do the double, but without wanting to coin a phrase which some of our rivals once did, so I won't do it. I'd say it's a game we could probably drop points and still be in a strong position, rather than use the wording that the Blades did when they came to Hillsborough all those years ago. So, you know, it's one game, but not forgetting we're confident too. We hadn't tasted defeat in a long time. We're not going to go there and try and get a point. If we get a point, great. We're going to go there like we've gone to everywhere, and we're going to try and win the game, however, by any means necessary. So their overconfidence and over-arrogance could actually be a bit of a weakness, and we could actually go there and stun them. And then if we do that, then that's it. They'll go crawl back under the rocks, and we'll not hear from them again, will we? Till
they are scoring a lot of goals, though.
They are. We're not conceding many, are we?
They've scored like 19 goals last month or something stupid. They're scoring a lot.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because they're scoring a lot, but we're not conceding, and it's this like unstoppable objects against the unmovable objects.
Yeah.
So it's where we go with that. We've got one of the best. We have, I think, got the A record league as well, which is not difficult when you run the way on. Steve, what's your thoughts, mate? What are you thinking?
I worry about it. I do worry about. I don't want it to be Barnsley, the team that finished the run. I'd rather it be fucking Forest Green Rovers, to be honest with you. As daft as it sounds, I'd rather go out with a whimper against Forest Green Rovers, eating vegetarian, vegan pies, whatever it is, on that sustainable pitch.
Peanut butter shot.
But you know what? You have to, every now and again. You have to look. You have to look back. To put a positive Wednesday spin on it. They are, and they have been since they beat us, or just after they beat us. They've been the team that I've been most concerned about. And I know the league doesn't necessarily tell the story, but you can't argue with what they're doing. The run that they're on is absolutely phenomenal, and you know, I think from a sort of an away from Sheffield Wednesday or local rivalry point of view, Michael Duff's doing an incredible job over there. You know, the stuff that they're doing is absolutely phenomenal. The positive Wednesday spin on it is they're still 11 points behind us, same games played. That's just testament to the job that Darren Moore's done. I half-heartedly, tongue-in-cheek, tweeted out about the fact that Michael Duff keeps getting Manager of the Month. I think it'd be brilliant. I'd love to get to the end of the season now and Darren Moore not get manager of the month and us win the league at a canter. I think that'd be absolutely brilliant. They posted something on Sunday, I think, about Yorkshire grit or whatever it was, and there was like a 30-second video from Saturday of them diving into tackles against the team that they played against on Saturday, people going through people and the crowd getting louder and all this and the other. And that's what it's going to be like on Tuesday. Their players are going to be up for it. We've just got to make sure that we're up for it. I think it's really important. We almost go back to that backs to the finish line analogy, don't we, that Moore's got. We're going to need that on Tuesday night more than we've needed it all season. I think Tuesday is going to end up being the biggest challenge that we've faced all season, especially if they get a positive result this weekend, because their tails are going to be up. And they're going to want to take 6 points off us, because I think they know that whatever happens, they're not going to catch us. It's just about whether they can take second place, because if they get promoted automatically, we're going to win the league.
I agree. Entirely. I mean, if you look at the league, you're exactly right. They're 11 points behind us, played the same number of games. They're not unbeatable. They've lost 8. We've only lost 3. So they're on a great run at the moment. But I can only liken it to the fact is on Saturday we were down to 10 men and we just defended resolutely and never really looked like backs against the wall. That's with 10 men. So it will be a good game. I think it'll be a great game. I think Darren will know he's 11. I think I agree with John. There's some amount of arrogance there, and I think they might. We're talking here. I would imagine there's a Barnsley podcast saying we're going to hammer them, and we're actually sort of saying, well, it's going to be a tough game, and it will be a tough game, but it'd be great to get those 3 points, wouldn't it? Bring those 3 points, because I think that if we get those 3 points, we will be champions of this league. I think that will be.
Like you said earlier, isn't it? Steve said just earlier, didn't they? These next 2 games now are kind of like pivotal, aren't you? Because you look beyond those 2 games, the remaining fixtures. Go and have a look at them if anyone's listening. You haven't looked at them yet. You go and have a look at them and look at the form that we're in. If we can get through these next 2 games with either 4 points or obviously if we get 6, it's almost one hand on the trophy. Honestly, just look at the fixtures. I know we're Wednesday fans. We don't say that you'll give us a kiss of death and curses and all that lot. But and I never speak like this about Wednesday. But just the form we're in and the fixtures we've got left.
Well,
it takes something criminal to rob us of going up, wouldn't it?
I've not looked in depth, but I think we're now at that point where we're getting towards the finish line, and you're starting to knock off the games that we can put the points. It's the gap between playoffs, promotion, and so forth. It's getting to a point now where we're untouchable by certain teams, and if we win Friday, win Tuesday, and win the game after, as daft as it sounds, that guarantees us a playoff place, and it guarantees us a playoff place early April. Do you know what I mean? We'd have bitten everybody's hand off at the start of the season for that. Other teams are going to keep dropping points against each other. By no means is it going to define our season, winning the next 2 games, but it's absolutely going to be pivotal in terms of whether or not we get promoted, or we then go on and kick on and do what we all want, hope, and believe that we can do, and that's go up as champions.
Brilliant. So leading into
place.
I think second place, if we win these 2 games or at least get like 4 points out, we'll feel a bit of a disappointment, won't it? After that, I think we all want to put our hands on that trophy.
No, at this stage, second place, the positivity that we're all feeling, second place feels like a failure at the minute, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Do we want to do predictions on this? Do we want to do predictions? Are they going to bite us on the arse, or shall we do it?
Scrappy one all.
They've had loads of red cards this season. They've had like 4 or 5. They've had loads of penalties against them. I would take a proper nap, not really a red card for one of their players, and a really awful penalty that its keeper on back at head and goes in that shouldn't have been one. And I will claim that for the rest of the year. I'll have 1-0.
So we've got a scrappy 1-1, 1-0, John.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of blood, guts, and thunder. I'm looking for a strong referee. I don't want anything that's going to be cost us and be something stupid. But 1-1 seems like I can just see a 1-1 for some reason. Yeah, derbies are normally tight, aren't they? And two good teams will not want to give them too much. Yeah, 1-1. I'm going for 1-1.
I'm going 2-0 Wednesday. I think
Yeah.
we've gone into. I think we've played a few teams now where we've thought, we're going to struggle here, and I think we might surprise us. I think they're going to surprise us. I think they'll be up for it. I really do. But anyway, so that's Tuesday night next week. So podcast next week. We're going to have 2 games to review. Wow. Let's see what happens. So any other business? If we can just firstly mention, if anybody hasn't listened to it yet, we've got a little bit of a spin-off of the Wednesday Week podcast, and it's called My Wednesday. And the first one last week, and if you haven't listened to it, please give it a listen. It's got Gaz Robinson, who became a meme. Is it called? Because I'm an old man, so is it a meme sensation? Oh, Wednesday. And what was really odd was at the match on Portsmouth on Saturday, I heard it several times. People shouting it during the game. But what was even more disturbing was when I went for a wee at halftime, people saying it in the gents' toilets. That does put you off your stream, trust me. But please listen to it. He's a brilliant fan. I've never met the guy before, but he's got some brilliant stories. And I think another one will be coming out. I don't know who it is, but I think another one will be coming out on Friday. So I know there are 2 people here who've interviewed. Steve and Hollie have both interviewed separate people, and I've heard of some of the names coming up of people, and they're all different. They're all different because they're all different people, and we're taking it all from different angles. And if you haven't listened to it, just give it a listen. It's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, Steve's not. I don't know why these guys are laughing, but it was really good, and give them a listen. And I'm sure Steve's will be as good, and I'm sure Hollie's will be as good as well.
I think, like you say, it's just something a little bit different in it, because we're all from different walks of life, and it's all how you become. It's all sharing the great love of Sheffield Wednesday and how you became a fan. Whether you are, everyday Joe, or somebody semi-famous or even famous. I mean, we've got fans from all walks of life, and it's just nice to hear their stories about how they became fans of Wednesday, and some of the stories that they can share. Some funny, some sad. It's all Wednesday, isn't it?
It is, and it'll be good. It'll be good.
I don't know what Hollie. Well, I do know what Hollie thinks, but I think the one thing I would say is that if you haven't listened to it, I can only endorse what people have said. The Gaz Robbo stuff was absolutely brilliant. Comes across as a really good bloke. He was absolute pure entertainment for half an hour. I guarantee you will laugh. If you're a Wednesday fan and you've got any sort of experience of going to Wednesday games, he'll have you at least half a dozen times, literally laughing your head off. Brilliant stuff. What I will say, from having done my own, and I know that Ash has done, and I think Ben's done one, we've got 3 or 4 that are lined up that have already been recorded for release. No 2 of these my Wednesdays will be the same. It's different people with different stories. There'll be funny stuff in there. There'll be thought-provoking stuff in there. There'll be anecdotal stuff in there. I think I'd like to think there's something for everyone. We've tweeted out. Obviously, people will know that Ash does the socials, certainly does the Twitter. We've tweeted out people that want to get in touch and think you've got anything interesting to share with us on the podcast, please do so. If the rest of them coming forward are half as well received as the first one that we put out there, it can only be a good thing for us as a fan base, for us as a podcast. We're not here for profit. We're not here for monetary purposes. We're here to share to build a network, a community of Sheffield Wednesday fans that can get in the car on a Saturday morning, Friday night, Tuesday afternoon, whenever it may be, and get to the game. I know that people listen on the commutes. I know that people listen when they're in the gym. People listen at various points. We're trying to put content out there that will engage, and hopefully these podcasts will do that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with going to away matches. You see so many of the same faces, and everybody chats and says hello, even though they might not even know your name. And now, hopefully, we're bringing a few of those names to the podcast, which leads us into something else where I think the fan base should pull together, which is you'll all be aware of Tommy Spur's son, Rio, who unfortunately has cancer and is battling cancer as a young boy, which is, I can't even comprehend as a father what that would be like to have my son going through that. So I think we've got a great deal to thank for players. Obviously Liam Palmer raised a considerable amount of money for him with his running, which also benefited him, turning him into the player he's been this season. But they're having Rio Steel City Derby at Sheffield FC's ground down at Dromfield on the 14th of May. And it is what it is. It's Sheffield Wednesday legends versus Sheffield United legends.
Sheffield Wednesday legends.
Ex-Sheffield Wednesday legends playing Sheffield Wednesday legends, but some of them ended up playing for Sheffield United. So are they legends or I don't know? So you've got Derek Geary and the Quins and so on and so forth playing for them. I know I wanted to speak to Steve about this because Steve has done 8 charity matches where fans have been involved as well, but he's played with the likes of Paolo Di Canio, Des Walker, Chris Waddle, to name a few, which just must be amazing being a Wednesday fan. I hope all the Wednesday fans will turn up in numbers. I know I'm going to be going down on the 14th. And I think a few of us said we'd go over and watch the game because there's some Palmer's playing, Glenn Whelan, Chris Brunt. There's some really good Wednesday players. But Steve, in regards to these sort of games, you've taken part in them. What they're like?
Mind blowing, to be honest with you. From a sort of a fanboy point of view, you get to walk in and see people that you sort of revere and you admire. In a changing room, it's absolutely brilliant. The atmosphere around the place, the build up to them is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, this one's going to be a little bit different because it's not us, it's not supporters, and we'll be accessing in a different way. What I will say is that these sort of events, what I've learned is that these people that you speak to, by and large, with a couple of exceptions, whose obviously names I wouldn't want to share on a public forum. The vast majority of people that I've sort of interacted with have been absolutely humble, great to speak to, very welcoming, very warm. I would imagine that if you get down to the Coach and Horses, you get down to Sheffield FC to watch the game, there'll be some interaction between the players that are there, and there'll be opportunities for you to sort of interact with them. I've played with a couple of the guys. I'm just looking at the list now. Tug Gay, Brunt, Buxton, Palmer. These are guys that are really, really humble. Obviously, this is a really important cause beyond football. As Simon's just said, as a parent, I can't imagine what Tommy Spur has gone through, and obviously Aaron Jameson as well. They've gone through some significant sort of trauma in terms of the circumstances that they've had to endure, and I can only wish them all well. Going down there and supporting this cause is probably it's the most noble thing that you can do, isn't it? Really.
Absolutely, 100%, and we at the Wednesday week 100% support that, and hopefully most of us will be going down. The fact that there's a Coach and Horses there will mean that Ash will be there because he does like his Thornbridge, and it'll be. I think it'll be a good afternoon now. It's in May, the weather will be nice. I think it'll be spot on, and because you're so close to the players, you'll it's a great little ground. I think you've played there, Steve, several occasions, haven't you, down at Sheffield FC's ground? Did you not play for them at some point?
I played for them when they were Don Valley.
Right.
But I also played at the Coach and Horses in one of its different guises. So, yeah.
So amazing, and raised plenty of money to help Tommy and Rio with his treatment. Finally, I just want to say a couple of words, and then we'll wrap it up because we've gone on long enough today. Sheffield Wednesday have been embroiled in certain amounts of the press over the last few days and last few months. Decrying the football club after an FA Cup game against a team from the Northeast a few months ago, of which allegations were made against the club. This week, a certain newspaper has expressed views against Sheffield Wednesday, of which I've read, and I think most of us have read. I'm not going to mention the newspaper. What I would suggest is as a Sheffield Wednesday fan and to the supporters out there, I would suggest that they block these people, they block the newspaper, and don't give any sort of feedback to them because they don't deserve it. The way they've spoken about this club, the names that they've called this club on an agenda against us is just useless. It's horrible, and it's journalism at its worst. Sheffield Wednesday, from what we've seen and the truth of what we've seen, have acted admirably. And I know today that more information is being tweeted about what was agreed with Sheffield City Council and the Safety Action Group. We know what happened. We know what's gone on. And you know what? I don't give a shit about what the press say about us. We're Sheffield Wednesday. We're top of the league. We're 22 points unbeaten. And ladies and gentlemen, we will win the league and Sodom. And I think everybody on the podcast agree that that is the best way to go about it and not lower themselves to the indignity of what they've done over the last week. Everybody agree? I think that's a yes. So anyway, my name's Simon Hill. That was my rant for today. There's been many more earlier on. If you work with me, I apologise. This is the Wednesday week. We will be back next week. Hopefully Dan is probably about 50 pints deep, and we'll look forward to a message from him on WhatsApp later where hopefully we'll be able to splice in the one that he did this morning, which was absolutely brilliant. So my name's Simon Hill. If you thought I was good, then please make a note. If not, then my name's Blair. And goodbye. See you later.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
If you use Audacity, it will help you edit the audio pod, but you'll need some video editing software for the YouTube